Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Monday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Hope everyone had a great 4th of July. Today's show, we are off. We'll be back live tomorrow on Tuesday. But today, you're going to listen to some Gator legends. That would be Jack Youngblood and Carlos Alvarez. Sit back and enjoy. We'll see you live tomorrow. Let's welcome Jack Youngblood to the program. Good morning, Jack. How are you?
What's going on?
Not much. We appreciate you taking some time to join Matthews in the Morning. Jack, what I like to talk to all the former athletes, let's go back, way back when you were a youngster, up in Monticello.
That's a long ways back, brother.
Long way. So try to think back. You were a great football player. Did you play any other sports in high school?
Played a little baseball. But then the coaches kind of directed me in a different direction, and said you need to stay over here rather than going over this place.
I got you. Well, when you look at obviously Ray Graves was the head coach at Florida when you came out. What other schools recruited you pretty heavily, and did you always want to be a Gator, or were there other schools that you thought about going to?
What was another school? I'm not sure. I understand you.
I got you.
Shane. There was only one offer.
Okay.
To go to school, and it came at as we were winning the championship in 1966 when Class B championship, and a gentleman grabbed me by the arm and said, Jack, how would you like to be a Florida Gator? I said, let me think about that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There was only one scholarship offer, and I had no idea about it.
That's pretty cool. How big were you when you signed your scholarship as a defensive lineman? Well, you were a linebacker in high school. How big were you though when you signed your scholarship?
I was I was 6'4", and I had grown real fast in those 4 years in high school. But I only weighed about 215 pounds. I mean, I had my ears, were looked like they were aircraft workers. So, I mean, I was skin and bones. I put on 45 pounds in the 4 years that I was there in Gainesville.
So when you came here, Jack, obviously you came in as a linebacker. They moved you down to a defensive end. I was reading a little bit. What's surprising to me is you were also the kicker. Like when you got ready to kick a field goal, did they have to call timeout for you to go put the old school square toe shoe on?
Absolutely. I was the middle linebacker. I was the defensive end. I was the kicker. I was the backup punter, and I was the backup snapper. I figured out that that if you could do several things, coach will keep you around for a while.
Right.
And I mean, I used to. I kicked a game-winning field goal in the opening ball game in Houston when I was a senior. I mean, it was, and then I got a ball blocked when I was at the Senior Bowl, and they're not supposed to rush the passer. I mean, the kicker, and I I got the ball blocked. That's hard to do.
Yeah. Jack,
oh my goodness.
We've got a text here on the Titan MR text line from George. George wants to know, what was your favorite rivalry game to play in as a Gator?
Georgia. Yeah, going up to Jacksonville, the excitement that was, it was out of town, and it was a huge emotional ball game. It was for the right of the state. Who was going to be dominant that year. It was going through our mind as the players. Going to Jacksonville and playing in the Gator Bowl was really a big one, and Florida State was too. We spanked their fanny 4 times. So I mean, we got the better end of that deal.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're speaking with Jack Youngblood on the Titan MR hotline. If you got a text from him, you can send it to 352-353-7465 or send in a question on Facebook Live. Jack, you had a great career here at the University of Florida. You get drafted by the Rams. You go in there. I want to say Deacon Jones, who was one of the great defensive linemen of all time, was there. They ended up trading him away. Tell us a little bit about Deacon Jones. Did y'all get along? Did he help the youngster out? Because sometimes those veterans in the NFL don't want to help the young guy out, and there are some that do. How is it playing with Deacon Jones?
Shane, I've said this all of my career, ever since I was drafted by the Rams. I've always loved both Deacon and Merlin Olsen. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for those 2 guys, I probably wouldn't have been the player that I became. Both of them, at one point in time in that first year as a rookie, they put their arm around me and said, "Son, you can play, but you've got to let us show you how to play." And I became all ears at that point. I said, "Thank you," and yes, sir. They were sirs. They were still my elder when I got to LA, and both of them were just tremendous athletes and tremendous human beings. Loved them both.
We got another text here on the Titan MR text line. It comes from Fred. And Fred says, Jack, you were a Gator when they were introducing the drink Gatorade. How was it when you were
there? Yeah, Gatorade, it was horrible. I mean, good gracious alive. It was something that they made in the locker room, in the training room every morning. And it literally was made in a number 10 wash tub, and they would change the recipe just a little bit here and there, trying to get it just right. We'd be on the sideline, and that number 10 wash tub was right there, and we had 10 cups that we would go over to the wash tub and dip us a cup full. We're having a little scrimmage going on, and Mike Kelly, my middle linebacker, who I love dearly, although he took my position, and and Mike went over and dipped his cup in, and he started chugging, and he fainted, and he fell over backwards. I mean, just like somebody had shot him. And we're all standing around him, and everybody's looking at their cup and going, "Oh, hell no, we're not drinking that anymore." The cold knocked Mike out. It wasn't the Gatorade, it was the cold.
Let's go back to the Rams. You were fortunate enough to play in 5 NFC Championship games. You made it to 1 Super Bowl. But let's talk about the NFC Championship game where they put you in a brace with a broken leg. How in the world? I know you're a tough dude now, and I've seen defensive linemen play with broken arms and wrists or what have you. But how in the world did you play with a broken leg?
It was not pretty. Let's put it that way. It was not pretty. It was one of those issues that I had lived all along. I was the captain of the football team, and it was my responsibility to try and do anything and everything I could do to give us an opportunity to win and win a championship. It was very painful. There's no question about that. And it was one of those issues where it was, if you're out, if you're there, if I'm there, my guys are going to follow me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the principle behind it. It wasn't about whether I could get around the corner and sack Terry Bradshaw. It wasn't about that. It was about leading our football team, and we did a pretty good job. Although in that fourth quarter they scored 2 touchdowns on us and won the Super Bowl 14. But it was all about leadership and trying to help my football team win the ball game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, Jack, you played a long time in the NFL, and everyone's goal is to get and win a Super Bowl. And you play in 5 NFC Championship games. You only get to 1 Super Bowl, and unfortunately, you lose it. What was it like, though, getting to that Super Bowl, and how long did it take you to get over that loss to the Steelers and Terry Bradshaw?
Well, to get over it, that lingered a while. We got knocked out 4 times. Twice by Minnesota and twice by Dallas, and we finally got there in 79. And that scar lasted a little bit longer than the other ones. In the other ball games, the championship ball games, it lasted a little longer because we firmly believed we could win. And you got to remember, they had 3 rings already. Terry had won 3 Super Bowls. So that was something that they realized what the issue was about, and that was the first time we'd gotten there, and it was very important for us to we made the issue come alive. We could play with them, and we made them understand that we could play at your level.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a while. It took a while to get over those emotions.
Yeah, I'm sure. We got a question here on Facebook Live brought to you by Pound Hurt, your preferred business interruption attorney. Dan wants to know, there have been movies about how hard and physical some of those old practices were at Alabama with Bear Bryant. Was it like that too when you were at Florida back then? And also, how tough were your Rams practices back in the day?
Well, the main thing about practice was the weather conditions. To be honest, I mean, you had to be in shape, and they were a little bit physical. I mean, we in college and with the Rams, they were a little bit physical, but the issue really was the weather. the climate, and whether or not you could go out and play and not lose 15 pounds of water. And that has happened several times with a lot of players back in the day.
Jack, talk a little bit about you were the first Gator to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I believe that was in 2001. Talk about how special that was. I mean, you're in the Florida Ring of Honor, you're in the Rams deal, you're in the College Football Hall of Fame, but every player's ultimate goal is to make it into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Talk about how special that was for you.
That was a big day. There's no question about that. And there was when you played in the game, you come through college, you come through school, and you get the opportunity to go to an NFL team, which I had no idea who I was going to. I mean, it's not the draft is nothing back in my day like it is today. It's a different world of how it operates. And then to go along and to be there for 14 years and not miss a ball game until the last year, until the 14th year. I mean, I played in 201 consecutive ball games.
Wow.
And that might not have been smart, but I mean, but I had the passion and the love of the game, and then to get and to be on that list, just to be nominated for the Hall of Fame was truly in my mind was enough. Just to be nominated for it. That says, yeah, you were pretty good. You're a pretty good player. Wow. And then to have people like Merlin Olsen and Deacon Jones, be my mentors. That really was an honor that I could play. I could play at their level.
No doubt about it. Well, that's a tremendous honor. There's no question about it. We're speaking with Jack Youngblood here on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. We got another Facebook Live question for you from Todd, brought to you by Pound Hurt, your preferred business interruption attorneys. Todd wants to know, what was your favorite Gator game that you played in? One that stands out the most.
Oh my goodness. Let me think about that. I mean, we played Georgia. No, I'm sorry. We played Tennessee up there my senior year, and they had this always has stuck in my head. They had the people who made their jerseys. I'm not sure what company it was at that point. I should remember it. But they used a fabric that was kind of acid treated, and it was a tearaway. Mm-hmm. And I came around the corner, and I can't remember the quarterback's name right now. But anyway, I came around the corner and I reached in and I slapped him right in the chest and grabbed that jersey and snatched it. And off came his number, and I'm standing there with nothing but his number off the front of his jersey. And I went, damn! I got to get more than this. That was a heck of a ball game. Going up to Tennessee was something else. It was an experience.
When you go back to your pro career, was there one offensive lineman, left tackle, right tackle, what have you, that you did not want to have to face, that you just dreaded going into that week?
None of them.
None of them.
Okay.
I
didn't fear any of them. They, in fact, I look forward to playing against Rayfield Wright, Ron Yeri, oh my gosh, Dan Deerdorf. Those were the best ones back in the 70s and 80s. And they brought the best out of me. When you're playing against the best, you better have your game together.
Right.
And I enjoyed that. And it created a relationship with those guys from that point forward. We've been tremendous friends ever since we put on our helmets and tied the cleats. We've been really good, and I literally enjoyed playing against the best.
Jack, I got this question. You played obviously all your career with the Rams, and then when Coach Spurrier, he's a little bit older than you. He was basically a backup behind John Brodie with the 49ers, and y'all being in the same division. Did you ever get a chance to blindside old number 11 Coach Spurrier?
Yeah. And he didn't like it. He didn't like it. We were up there. We were in San Francisco, and he was playing. Something was wrong with Brodie, and Steve was playing, and I knocked him down a couple of times, and about the third time I got in the backfield with him, knocked him down, and he goes, Jack, why are you so mean to me? And I went, because you got the ball in your hand, damn it.
That's good stuff.
It was, and we both just started laughing.
You have a pretty good relationship with Coach Spurrier because he's a different character now.
Yeah, kind of. They sometimes quarterbacks have, and I know you were one, my man, too. But there was something about a quarterback that they had an attitude.
Mm-hmm.
That might have been my perspective because I was a defensive lineman, and my job was to sack the quarterback, take him out of the ball game. We off the field we did. We had a good relationship.
Good deal. So, Jack, I don't know how much you follow the Florida football program now. Obviously, Coach Spurrier came in. We did some wonderful things under his leadership. Had some down years. Urban came in. We won 2 national titles. Then another lull. And now Dan Mullen, in his 2 years here, we won 21 games, won 2 major bowl games. From afar, what have you seen that you like about Dan Mullen, what he's done with the football program?
I think Dan's done one heck of a job putting this thing back together and winning what he needs to win. As long as Dan is winning the Eastern Conference, the Eastern Division, I should say, and moving forward, we're going in the right direction. And the thing that I love about what Dan's doing is that it's not really just about the athleticism of his players that he's bringing in. It's their character. He's bringing in both athletes and good people, and that will pay big dividends for us for a long time.
No doubt. Talk a little bit about when you were inducted into the Ring of Honor. There's only a handful of Gators up there and only a handful that qualify. How special was that for you to have number 74 put up in the swamp for the rest of lifetime, pretty much?
that's that was another one of those days that they're really almost unbelievable, and you experience them and you appreciate them, and sometimes you question them. You go, how in the world did I do that? But it was one of those moments in your career that you really appreciate, because it reminds you of the great days that we had there in Gainesville.
When you go back, whether it was college or pro, as a defensive lineman, and your job was to sack the quarterback on passing situations. Was there a quarterback in college and also in the National Football League that you just were licking your chops and you couldn't wait to just bury him? Who were some of those guys, if you don't mind telling us? Some of those guys that you
Fran Tarkenton. Fran Tarkenton. I mean, there's no question about that. I'm still looking for him. When we get together and we do several times a year, we get together and we'll be at a cocktail party or something, and he'll be having a conversation, and I'll walk up and I'll just put my arm around him and kind of just squeeze his shoulder just a little bit and go, one of these days I'm going to get you. and we both just start laughing. and he was, he and Roger were very elusive. They were hard to catch. In fact, I think Roger had eyes in the back of his helmet somehow. I mean, he used to have that reverse out move. The clock would go off in his head when he knew that 2.3 seconds is all I have here, and he would reverse out and cause all kind of problems for somebody that was coming, in the opposite direction, trying to catch him.
So, how is Jack Youngblood's body feeling after all the years of physical play on the defensive line? Feeling okay?
Well, you think about, what in the world did I do? How did I do all of that? And I'm blessed, Shane. I'm blessed way beyond what I deserve. We tried our best. It was my responsibility to max it out, to use every opportunity that I had. The good Lord had given me that opportunity, and it was my responsibility to use it, and to use it to the best. And I tried my everything I possibly could to do that. Every snap. It wasn't about taking one off. You don't take a play off when you're the captain of the football team, and it's your responsibility to lead those other 10 guys that are on the field with you. It was one play at a time, and you give it your all, everything you possibly have in that next play, because you only have one more play.
Well, Jack, I really do appreciate you taking time to join the show today. I know the Gator Nation loves hearing from one of the greatest Gators of all time. We appreciate it. You stay safe, my man, and we'll talk to you soon.
Shane, appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
That's the great Jack Youngblood. He's in pretty much every Hall of Fame there is, and we appreciate him taking the time to join Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. South State Bank, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Silverback Concrete Company. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us. We're joined by College Football Hall of Famer, one of the, actually probably the best receiver to ever play at the University of Florida, Carlos Alvarez. Good morning, Carlos. How are you?
I'm doing great, Shane. How about yourself?
Can't complain. We had you on this summer, I believe, kind of told your life story, and then all of a sudden they're going to have an SEC story about Carlos Alvarez. How'd that all come about?
Well, I was approached about it 2 years ago by Gaspar Gonzalez, who is the director and producer. And he happens to be a University of Florida graduate and knew about me. He, I think, went to University of Florida in the early 80s. And he knew about me. And he had done a number of documentaries and thought that this would be worth doing. And then he talked me into it because I was a bit hesitant at first for, really for the reason that you go back and you do the memory of everything that happened back then. There are a lot of good spots, mostly good. There's a few bumps in the road kind of thing. And the emotional roller coaster, I didn't know if I wanted to go through it, but it's been a wonderful experience with him. A person that really works hard at his craft and has done a really what I have not seen the documentary. I'm going to see it when everybody else sees it.
Oh, wow.
But I'm very happy with the work he has done. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. How much filming currently did you have to do for the series?
They came to my house, to my farm here in Tallahassee, and filmed for about, 6-7 hours, just interviewing me about all kinds of things. And then we also did an interview at the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta. He had some filming to be done up there. So we did that, did some interviews up there. And then we went to Gainesville, and I forget whether we did any interviews in Gainesville. Well, we did actually. We went to Gainesville twice. One is for the reunion of the '69 team last year, so that he was able to film that reunion, and that was very, very nice. I was on the field. I was there with Willie Jackson and Leonard George and Fred Abbott, and of course the rest of we were on the field, but the rest of my '69 team was up in the stands, and he was able to go to the celebrations the night before, and then the tailgating afterwards. And then I went there with him just alone to University of Florida to watch archival films, which I didn't know the university had. So that was a lot of fun, as I could guide him. We couldn't find a lot of things because they were not there, but it was a lot of fun going through that.
So, I've heard so many great things about Reeves to Alvarez, and I've never really seen it. I've never seen any clips of it. So am I going to get to see it tonight when they film this? Some John Reeves passes going to Carlos Alvarez?
Oh yes, you're going to see. You're going to see that. Shane, I think this is still the record, but I think John and I hold the records for the most passes from one quarterback to one receiver at Florida. That's how tight in we were. Of all the passes that I caught, all but about, I think 2 or 3 were from John. Other ones were maybe, halfback passes, things like that.
Right.
But virtually all of them were from John. So anything that I catch is from John. And I think you and I have talked, and how I miss him. But also what an unbelievable quarterback he was, and really what a wonderful person he was too. Those that got to really know him understand that.
No doubt about it. We're speaking with Carlos Alvarez here on the Titan MR Hotline. You can check out his SEC Storied. It's called the Cuban Comet, right? It's going to be on air tonight on the SEC Network.
Yes, it's the All-American Cuban Comet.
So basically, they started filming and putting
That's the name of it.
Okay. So they started filming this, as you mentioned, it was last football season when y'all had a reunion for the 69 team. So they started about a year and a half ago, starting to put everything together for this film.
Yes. And Shane, I think what I didn't realize, and I think most people don't realize about these documentaries, it's extensive work trying to find out from all these different sources, and of course you're trying to put a history and now when I think about it, it tells me how old I am, but you're trying to put a history that was 50 years ago. As I told somebody, when you think about 50 years ago, when I was playing, and I thought 50 years ago, that was World War I. That was the date, that was like 1920. So now it's kind of the same thing. And of course, now, like when you played, there was, there's a lot of video of that, there's a lot of that, but back then, there was not. So he had to kind of gather that from different sources. And let alone that, just like anything, and you may know this, I didn't know this, anything that appears on a documentary, like all of a sudden they'll see a newspaper article that will appear there for 5 seconds. Now you can get that, you can go through that and get it in the internet and make it easy. However, you have to clear the rights of that newspaper article to be shown. And usually you have to pay for it. So anything that appears in that documentary had to be cleared in that way. And of course, he's got to put together a story that makes sense to the viewer. So it is, that's why I think it takes that long a time to put something like this together.
Yeah, I was a part of a documentary. It's not going. I haven't seen yours, but yours is going to be wonderful, I'm sure. My documentary gives me nightmares. I think it was the first documentary, the 30 for 30 or SEC Story that they ever did. It was on the play that changed college football. It was the first SEC championship game where I threw the pick six for us to lose to Alabama, and they won the national title. So I'm not a big fan of documentaries because of that one, but I'm sure yours is going to be outstanding. So did they go back to your childhood days where you came across to Miami and all that good stuff? Is that all in there?
Yes. I think it is. Like I said, I have not seen it, but
Right.
He went all the way back. And really the story is basically this, is my coming to the United States, my family coming to the United States. I came here when I was 10, a year and a half after Castro came. And my fight, my search to be an American. And I saw football as my gateway to be an American. And then going to University of Florida, and what happened there, which to me was unexpected, which was kind of good. I'll talk about that in just a second, was kind of good. But the struggles to get there, and actually then, what happened at the University of Florida, and then just because of the timing of the whole thing, it was a tumultuous time in America. And there were protests, certainly the Vietnam War, racial injustice, things like that I got involved in. So, and I got involved, I tried to put together an athletes union, which that's also, I think, part of the film. And so all of that is part of the story, but it's really my drive to become an American, and knowing that football was my ticket. And, I didn't realize that until many years later when I actually wrote a draft of a book that actually has the same name. They took the name of my draft of the book for the documentary, but I realized that really that was my drive. It was to become an American, and that's how come. Really, you don't see a lot of Cuban Americans playing football.
Right,
I mean, it's not the sport, but to me, it meant the world. And one of the things that I was telling you I was going to come back to is the fact that when I went to University of Florida, I was a running back in high school. When I went to University of Florida, I thought I wasn't going to make the team. And so what I said to myself is, I may not make this team, but I will never, ever look back and say, if I had done X, I would have made the team. So I worked out. I caught passes from anybody who wanted to throw the ball to me. I did everything, not knowing what the standard was. And it was only when I got to the first practice, and of course I had the gift of John Reeves. And when I got to that first practice where I realized I can compete. But until then, I had no idea whether I could compete or not. And I think that is actually a real benefit to not know how far you can go in something. Just know that you can put it all out there. You don't never want to have a regret that I didn't do enough.
No doubt about it. It's a tremendous story, no doubt. We're speaking with Carlos Alvarez here on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. His documentary, The SEC Storied on Him, airs tonight on the SEC Network. We're anxious to watch it. Carlos, I want to ask you, you're in the College Football Hall of Fame, that's what every college player would love to be in. But for whatever reason, I think we talked about it this summer, and you need to be in the Ring of Honor. I don't quite understand why you're not. One of the criteria is you have to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. Do you think that day will ever come?
Well, the first part of this question is you should be in the College Football Hall of Fame.
Well, I don't know about
I really
that,
believe I do know about that. I mean, when you look at what you did at Florida, you deserve to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. The Ring of Honor, it's hard for me to comment on that. To me, I think that the way I like to describe it is the University of Florida has been great to me. And whatever choice they make on that, I am fine with it. I think that people that are in the Ring of Honor deserve to be there. I would, I hope people like Percy Harvin, other wide receivers, if I believe if Percy wasn't around, we wouldn't have won two of the three national championships. He made everybody better in that team. So to me, there's a lot of choices that the administration needs to make, the coaches need to make, and I'm good with whatever choice they make because I know there's a lot of players that probably deserve to be in the Ring of Honor.
I don't know how much college football you watch these days, Carlos, but it's amazing all the records that you still hold at the University of Florida with all the great receivers that we've had come through here. And back in your era, you didn't throw the football that much. Now, like I said, I don't know how much college football you watch, but if a kid, back in our day threw for 230, 250 yards, that was unbelievable. If you threw for 300 yards, you're setting school records. Well, it seems like every college quarterback that suits up on Saturdays throws for over 300 yards now. Would you love to be playing in today's modern college football as a wide receiver?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every time I watch it, I think of how much fun it would be to play. Like the Florida offense is obviously typical, and what Kyle Trask has done, and Kyle Pitts, and I mean it just seems like a lot of fun because they come through a lot of sets. I will tell you that the 69 team, because we had the coaching change and went more to a running type attack after my sophomore year. But that 69 team that had Fred Pankos was the offensive coordinator, really had a lot of sets and a lot of patterns that are not too dissimilar. I'm not saying that it equates to what it is now because, back then we always had a fullback, for example, and now a lot of times you don't have a fullback. And so you have, you're spread out more. But I will say that it would be just a blast to play today with all the different sets and the options. And it would be great fun. It really would be great fun.
Let me ask you this. Like I said, I don't know how much college football you watch, but this past weekend, Ole Miss played at Arkansas, and Matt Corral, the quarterback at Ole Miss, threw 6 interceptions. You were on that team when old John Reeves against, I think it was Auburn, threw 9 interceptions. I think I've asked you this before, but I mean, you guys as teammates, did y'all not have anybody else you could put in the game behind John Bob? I mean, after I threw 5 in one game, and coach never benched me either. So maybe y'all just didn't have anybody else you could put in the game.
So Shane, let me tell you this, and I think you will agree with me. When you throw 9 interceptions, it's probably not all the quarterback's fault. Now, the quarterback's going to have that statistic tied around his neck, but it's probably not all the quarterback's fault. And so when we went to Auburn, we were undefeated, and we expected Auburn to have a totally different defense, which is the defense that Auburn always played. And they changed the defense on us. I mean, from play one, and play one was actually a streak pattern to me. And I, as soon as I set up, I said, this is not the defense. And we didn't check off on that play. But by the time I got to the ball, there were like 2 Auburn defenders right there with me, because they were just in a totally different defense, and they never changed that. And so John had to deal with that throughout the whole game. And, wide receivers were trying to get open in odd ways. All kinds of things were happening. We fell behind. The one thing that I take from that game is we never gave up. And we did so well with the passing game that we lived by it, we died by it. And the other thing I take away from it is our defense. Now, Auburn scored 38 points, but you give up 9 interceptions, and their offense only scores 38 points with a Heisman Trophy quarterback of Pat Sullivan and a receiver that's the best one that I ever saw play when I played, Terry Beasley. Our defense played lights out throughout the whole game. So the team never gave up. And then after the game, nobody looked at John and blamed him or the offense or anything like that. We took the loss and went on. And that's the only game we lost. And so there's a lot of positives to be gained by that, and I know John's been hung with the nine interceptions, but it's a team. That was a team lack of effort, and not lack of effort, but it's just a team thing that happened. And it's not just John to blame.
Yeah, I'll never forget, because, John was on the staff with Coach Spurrier for several years, and he was the guy that I used to hang out with a lot down with the tight ends until I finally became the starter. And I'll never forget that after that Mississippi State game, Coach Reeves came up, put his arm around me, and he goes, "Don't worry, Shane. 5's not so bad. I threw 9 against Auburn." I'll never forget that. But we got a text here on the Titan MR text line. It comes from Larry. Larry says, "I love the John Reeves to Alvarez connection, but Carlos, what is your best moment as a Gator?"
That is such a difficult question, because and I'm sure the question was asked to you. You would say a lot of things would start running through your mind, because there's a lot of great things that happen, that happened during my career. The one that I know people remember the most, and certainly is ingrained in my heart, is that third play in the Houston game, the first pass I ever caught, the first pass that John ever threw, which went for a 70-yard touchdown against a team that was ranked by some people as the number 1 team in the nation, the Houston Cougars, at Florida Field. So when that happens and you have the fans going absolutely crazy on Florida Field, never expecting that to happen, it is a moment that I will never forget. And then another moment, which is kind of a bookend moment, is my last game at Florida Field when we were playing Kentucky, and we were a little bit ahead. I think we may have been 5-6 points ahead in the fourth quarter, and a play was called in, and I just knew that we went deep. And John knew if I went deep, we would just kill him, because we had just been running short routes most of the game. And I looked at John, and he looked at me, and the play was called in, and John said, "The hell with it, go deep," and he called the play, and sure enough. And so it was a November day, and I was running down the east sidelines, going to the north end zone, and I will always remember it because the sun was in the background. John's pass was spiraling perfectly right into me and into my hands, running at full speed. And when I got into the end zone, I was so high. I mean, it was about a 50-yard touchdown. I was so high because he hit me just perfectly that I threw the ball into the stands. Now, I mean, I threw it as high as I possibly could into the stands. I had never done that. I had never gotten a penalty in all my years at Florida. That's the only penalty I ever got for celebration. And boy, the defensive coordinator at the time was not happy with me when I got to the sidelines, but I was in such a high that it didn't matter. John and I celebrated that moment. And of course, Lee McGriff remembered that, because he wasn't playing with us at the time, but he was going to play, and he was in the stands. And I don't know if you remember, but Travis McGriff did the same thing. And there was another, I think Caldwell also did the same thing when Urban Meyer was the coach. And actually I was in the field when he did it. And I told him I didn't talk him into it. I didn't even say anything about it. Just some people have known about that, which is your last game at Florida Field. If you're ahead and you're a wide receiver, you could do that. But it's probably something that I shouldn't spread too much, because some coach is going to really get very upset about it. But that was a very wonderful moment for me.
That's good stuff. Last thing, Coach Mullen's done a tremendous job here in his first 3 years. Obviously, this year, who knows what's going to happen. It's a crazy year for all of us. Just your quick thoughts on Coach Mullen as the head coach at Florida.
Love him. I just love Coach Mullen. I think he's a coach's coach. He's a player's coach. I'm sorry, and that means a lot to me. I think he really has the respect of his players, and they trust him that even when things go wrong, he'll straighten up the ship. So I like him. I obviously love his offensive schemes. That has been very exciting to watch. So I really like Coach Mullen. This year is such an unusual year, as we all know, that I think everybody just needs to relax. Whatever happens this year happens, but it's almost like a throwaway year. Let's enjoy it. It's totally enjoy it. And I mean throw away and give up on it. It's just that you cannot judge a coach by what happens this year. There's too many variables, including not even knowing who's going to be there on Saturday, because on Thursday, all of a sudden, a key player is going to come out. And, I've always said that college football is roughly 1/3 coaching, 1/3 players, and 1/3 luck. And the luck is really the injuries or the 19-year-old having a bad day because not concentrating or not realizing that it's a 12-game season and getting tired after the third game and having their fourth game be a bad game. So I think I would put probably a little bit higher percentage on the coaching than a third and a third and a third, but that everybody's got to look at it that way. And I think that we're at Florida right now, we're on the coaching side, we're at a full percentage of what we can get out of that coach, and we just have to be patient.
No doubt about it. So what time is the show airing tonight? Is it 7:30 or 8, 9?
8:30.
8:30. 8:30. It'll be the Cuban Comet. I can't wait to watch it. Get your popcorn and soda pops ready. Sit down on the couch and check it out. But Carlos, we really do appreciate you taking the time to join us, talking about your life, what we get to see in the documentary. Can't wait.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Shane, and thank you for having me. And go Gators.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. South State Bank, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Carter Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.